These are the parts required for your 2004, 2008 F-150 two-wheel drive. A complete kit from R1 Concepts. So far the only thing I've discovered the kit is missing is the caliper slides, the little stainless steel slides for the front calipers. Comes with front and rear rotors. Notice that the most important part of this kit is the Centric hub, and this hub right here changes from a two-wheel drive rotor to utilize the four-wheel drive hubs. The kit comes with bearings with the special nuts that say do not reuse. I'm presuming that is more due to bolt stress, and of course the nylock. Upon removal, one of these nuts came off fairly easily. The other nut was extraordinarily difficult to remove, and so that may be why they say do not reuse these, due to bolt stress and stretch. Right. Here are some of the tools that I've used. The grinder with the wire wheel is going to be on it for the rear hubs, just to touch up everything, to remove the rust and make the new rotors go on a little bit easier. Notice the bar in the back. Bar is fairly essential. I'm not muscle bound, so it's much easier to use some additional leverage with the breaker bars. The impact is fairly kind of a waste of time, I think, because the impact really doesn't have enough torque to break loose a lot of the nuts. So if you have to break them loose by hand, you might as well finish them by hand. That was my thought, and it doesn't take that much longer, so the impact's not necessary. I always clean rotors with brake parts cleaner to remove any preservatives and oils, so the oils don't get into your brand new pads. You would hate for that to happen and instantly mess up the brand new pads. Put all your nuts in a container, that way you can find them. You don't have missing nuts. Right here, always lube everything, your pins and caliper slides with lube that is not anti-seize, right? It's a special lube. Right here in the picture we have the rear brake, parking brake pads available from any common auto parts store. Federated Associates, they had these in stock. Mine were totally disintegrated and probably cost an extraordinary amount of fuel. Here are the rear rotors, the hats, right? And if you can see inside how badly scored the rears are, the pads themselves are virtually new. These pads were the NAPA Gold pads. They were the premium pads that NAPA offers. I'm extraordinarily disappointed with these pads. They wore like iron. They would wear for 1,000 years, probably never wear out. But you can see the deep grooves left in the rotors. So instead of replacing a consumable cheap item like a pad, we wound up replacing whole entire rotors, extraordinarily expensive. Right? They wore the rotors far before the pads. Right? At some point or another, the parking brake must have been left on. The left side, the pads were completely disintegrated and gone. The right side, they had fallen off of the steel plates and were lying inside of the hat. So maybe this is a recent development, I'm not sure. So I recommend replacing everything at once. Just go ahead and just do it. Alright, right here is the front, the original fronts. Notice the severe metal delamination, and you can also see the original pads. I'm sorry, these are the replacement pads. Once again, NAPA Gold. They still have extreme thickness left to them, but if you can see in the picture, the deep grooves and the checking left in the front rotors. Severe damage and very, very little wear. So they wore the rotors out far before they wore the pads out. Not the original intent, and expensive as these rotors are, not exactly what we desired. So I'm extremely disappointed with NAPA and their premium gold pads. Also, one thing we're going to do is try to adjust the proportioning valve to get a little bit more in the rear, a little bit more wear in the rear. Right. Notice how thick the pad is and how severely worn the rotor is. Once again, these rotors were turned right before putting the pads on, and there's not that many miles, maybe 12,000 miles since turning them. Right. Now to the good stuff. R1 Concepts recommended their Fleet Performance pads. We'll see how they perform, how they do. They come in a package. Like I said, the only thing they're missing is the caliper slides. Everything else is there. It did not come with the slide and pin lube that you have to purchase at your local store. Right. Once again, for truck, for towing purposes, we're going with the slotted rotors. And I know it won't show up in the photograph, but these are stamped Bosch, and they come in a box labeled Centric. So, and so the slotted were recommended for towing application, and we will be doing some towing with this vehicle. And there is our kit from R1 Concepts, with the purpose of stopping this vehicle a lot better than it did before. Thanks for watching.